For the details of our stories now, we would start from the health front because the central laboratory at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital faces a possible shutdown on Thursday the 7th of May, which is actually just tomorrow, as medical laboratory scientists threaten to withdraw their services. The action follows the alleged unlawful removal of their head of unit, a decision that triggered tensions between laboratory scientists and medical doctors at the facility. The local chapter of the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union on Wednesday staged a protest demanding the immediate reinstatement of their colleague. Our Labour correspondent Daniel Opoku reports following this issue becoming another major public conversation. Let's listen to that report and we'll come and subject it to some analysis.
More than 300 laboratory scientists at the Central Laboratory of Kolebu Teaching Hospital picketed at the premises earlier on Wednesday. The protesting staff were demanding the reinstatement of their head of unit, whom they insist was illegally removed. They also argue that medical doctors should not be appointed to head laboratory units, maintaining that such roles should be reserved for qualified laboratory professionals. Although the group had initially announced plans to embark on a strike on Tuesday, May 12, they opted to begin a picketing exercise. Local Union Chairman John Nakoja emphasized the need for immediate return of the head of unit. He noted that the absence of leadership has significantly disrupted operations at the laboratory.
Standards Authority came yesterday. We couldn't get money to fund their work. So they
get money, you or Kolebu couldn't get money.
So normally what happened, the head of department will have to approve. But now we don't have head of department. So it means no check can be issued in the name of Central Lab. So that work could not be carried on. So I came this morning to communicate to my people about what was agreed yesterday. And the people are not happy.
Meanwhile, patients who were unaware of the protest were left stranded and visibly frustrated as services were interrupted.
Just shouted at me that we are not working. Why? 1,300 and something. I paid 1,300 for the lab.
I don't know what is happening, and they said I should sit here and wait. So if they don't come, why must I sit here?
The aggrieved staff later marched to the hospital's administration block to press home their demands. They warned that they would not resume work unless their colleague was reinstated. Despite appeals from the local union chairman for calm, the protesters remained resolute.
They gave management 72 hours to call the gentleman who made the statement that 75% or 50% of their lab results is wrong. If they don't call him to order, the time elapsed tomorrow. And tomorrow they will shut the whole place down for maintenance. And they're also calling on management to immediately reinstate the revoked head of department. If not, tomorrow, after the 72 hours, they will advise themselves.
And you heard that report by Daniel Opoku, who is our Labour correspondent, updating us on what is likely to take place at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where the central laboratory, we are told that the hospital is likely to be shut down. Now, the current standoff is rooted in a long-standing professional turf tension within Ghana's health sector over who is qualified to head the diagnostics unit, according to management, reportedly as part of an administrative restructuring. However, laboratory scientists argue that the decision violates established professional protocols and undermines their autonomy. Laboratory scientists maintain that only certified lab professionals have the technical expertise to manage diagnostic laboratories. Some medical doctors and administrators, however, argue that doctors, particularly pathologists, are qualified to supervise laboratory services within broader clinical governance structures. This disagreement has deepened mistrust between the two professional groups, with lab scientists viewing the move as an encroachment, while management frames it as an administrative decision. Meanwhile, the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union has expressed concern over the situation at Kolebu while urging calm. So in studio with us, we have been joined by the Vice President of the Union, Dr. Franklin Ni Amartey Amarh, to at least help us understand how we even got here in the first place. Mr. Amartey, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Thank you very much, and a very good evening to your cherished listeners.
Right. So help us with a bit of background, and if you can be brief with it. So how did we get here where now there seems to be a turf war about who can manage our labs?
Well, how did we get here is just the case that duty bearers have not been able to position things appropriately. It is the case that in the healthcare sector, we as a country has adopted leadership after own kind. And so if you come into the hospital space, you will reckon that pharmacists submit to pharmacists, nurses submit to nurses, and similarly, it is expected, and so should it be, that medical laboratory scientists should be allowed to lead and govern ourselves. It is a simple matter. It cannot be the case that you as a medical officer go and do a specialty. So for instance, you are a medical laboratory sciences, but you have some interest in pharmacology. So your master's, you go and do pharmacology. It does not give you the right to become a pharmacist. The basic requirement to become a pharmacist is the first degree pharmacology, pharmacy course. That is it. So it's just a simple matter. You can go and learn some specialty to come and practice something in the laboratory with specific job description in the lab. So the space is available. The laboratory is available for everybody so certified to come and practice what they went to school to learn. So it is not a case that we are preventing people and denying people access to the laboratory. That is not factual. Because the fact is that even cleaners come into the laboratory space to do their cleaning, and we do not have issues. How much more our colleagues, medical officers, who are coming into the space to do some specific assignment with proper job description, because there shouldn't be role conflicts. If what they are coming to do, medical laboratory scientists are doing it already by law, it will bring conflict, role conflict. And so what is the job description that the medical doctors have? If it is clear and they submit same and there is no role conflict, they will be allowed to come and practice. But they want to come on the certificate of leadership and management, that they have stakes to lead and manage in the medical laboratory space. And that cannot be allowed.
So that is where the
contention is. Medical laboratory science is a distinct profession. Medicine is also a distinct profession. A profession cannot be so called when its apron strings is tied to the fortunes of another profession. Then it is not a profession anyway. So if we have identified that medical laboratory science is a distinct profession, so governed by Part 1 of the Act 857, and medicine, so governed by the Part 2, two distinct professions, allow us to manage in our various laboratories. And you can also manage in the consulting room, in the Department of Medicine, and what have you. And then we shine together.
Okay. So let me be sure that we are on the same page on this. So it is not about who uses the space, the medical labs. It is about who leads, or the leadership.
Exactly what the conversation is.
Okay.
You reckon that people are not able to submit to that, but that is their cynosure. That is their concentration. And I will expose it to you. If your problem is about access denial, why are you touching the leader? And when you touch the leader, you appoint quickly one of your kind to go and have oversight responsibility in that space. It tells the story that all over, it is a shenanigan. You really wanted the space. You wanted to lead the space. And that is why you are calling us black. It is just the case of the anta wanting the grass cutter in the soup. and calling him names. Your results are not credible. So I am coming to bring in a certain structure. Do you have even capacity to come and do testing? You don't.
So is this an isolated case with just Korle Bu, or it is cut across many other medical facilities in the country?
The conversation is that what happens in Korle Bu is likely to be replicated across the length and breadth of this country. And that is why nationally, all laboratory professionals are working with keen interest what will happen in Korle Bu. And if we do not manage this situation very well, it will boomerang in our faces, because it is the need of every human being, for that matter professionals, to feel significant in their space. If you are somebody who is conversant with the Maslow theory of needs, you will need that medical laboratory people want to feel significant in their place.
Right.
And it is only fair that we allow them to lead and manage themselves.
Yeah, first.
And it's also about opportunities and fairness in terms of principles.
It is not in doubt the important role that medical lab scientists play when you look at the entire spectrum of health delivery. But the problem is with who leads the labs. Have you raised this with the management of Korle Bu about the fact that doctors are interfering or getting into your space and wanting to lead or manage your affairs? And what has the response from management been?
Now, let me submit to you why this issue has been protracted. Whether we like it or not, medical officers are the ones that are leading the various facilities. In Ghana today, all the teaching hospitals are being led, all the facilities are being led by medical officers. That is why we are going to agree, and the Chief Director of Ministry of Health has given a certain directive that stay execution on the matter, allow what have been done to remain, and they go. And because they have the power to appoint and disappoint, they set our own aside and appoint their own. So the point is that we, whether we like it or not, we are the underdogs in this matter. And the only reason why they feel they have to lead and manage in our space as medical laboratory is because they went to do a certain master's program in laboratory as medical officers.
So educational qualification is one of the justifications they are using for this interference.
The educational qualification is no longer even valid.
Because some of you
did 6 years for medicine. I also did 6 years for medical laboratory science, and I'm a doctor of medical laboratory science. And you see, you can pretend to understand medical laboratory science more than me, but that is fallacy. When subjected to proper scrutiny, you will find out you are wanting.
Okay.
Now, let me prove to you. If you want to know who really command the medical laboratory science, you ask yourself this important question. Can the laboratory function without the input of the medical laboratory scientists? No. But the laboratory has been running even up to international accreditation level in Korle Bu without the input of medical officers. That should tell you that the core practitioners in the laboratory space, without any shadows of skepticism, is medical laboratory scientists.
Right. Let's make progress and bring this conversation to an end. So how do we solve this problem? Clearly, it is a major problem and is likely to even cause the closure or the shutting down of a very important teaching hospital like Korle Bu. So we need to prevent that from happening. What kinds of responses have you gotten as a result of these agitations you've raised, and what has the Ministry of Health also told you regarding how they intend to solve this problem?
Well, so yesterday we had extensive conversations at the Ministry of Health. And the directive is that we should all hold our guns, and leadership will form a competent committee to resolve the matters appropriately. But you can see that our colleagues in Korle Bu are disgruntled. Because why? You as the chief director, you gave a specific directive which has been flouted because they are in administrative position and they are exercising and exerting their authority capriciously. by setting our own aside. So you can see the revolt at Korle Bu right now. And we are struggling as national leaders to contain and manage the situation. But we will continue to do our best for cool heads to prevail. Today, if we have attempted to show up, we could even be lynched. You could see how angry they are. They are not interested in what we have going to achieve now. They say if somebody can set aside a chief director's directive, then they cannot trust the process. What is the way forward? The way forward is to ensure that if you have something to practice in the medical laboratory space, submit your job description. Let us ensure that there are no role conflicts, and then you come and practice what you have gone to school to learn, to the betterment of the patient. But understand that in the medical laboratory space, you cannot claim leadership there because you do not have the basic qualification. It is a principle for pharmacists, it is a principle for nurses, and it is a principle for even day medical doctors. It is a simple matter.
Okay. Final question. We are told that there was a memorandum of understanding that was signed between the medical doctors and your good selves. Can you confirm that for us, and what are the next steps beyond this signing of an MOU?
So with the greatest respect, what we signed yesterday, for now, could be regarded a lot of nothing. Why? If we have signed that medical doctors should be given access to go to the lab to practice, what are they going to practice? Furtherance to that conversation should be a competent job description submitted to ensure that there are no role conflict, and then we can engage our people that we can collaborate on the patient for the betterment of patient safety. Then they can work together. Then medical officers should also come quickly. They should learn quickly. They should wake up from their slumber.
Okay.
That where we have gotten to, medical laboratory scientists have also developed their capacity to lead and manage themselves. And so if they come in with a sole intention that they cannot submit to medical laboratory scientists, claiming a certain superior knowledge, as if when they go to school, what they learned, all the professors that taught them died in a plane crash, and that knowledge is not available to anybody, they should wake up quickly and learn quickly that today's medical laboratory professional will never submit to a medical doctor in that laboratory space. No, it will not happen.
Okay, Doc, we thank you for bringing this situation, at least coming to give us a further explanation as to why we have gotten where we are. Let's see how we can resolve this matter amicably and pick the thought of a labor consultant, Dr. I beg your pardon, Austin Game. Mr. Game, I've made you a medical doctor by adding doctor to your name, but thank you for your time this evening.
I'm most grateful.
I'm sure this is a subject that you have followed for some time, where the medical lab scientists are saying that they cannot be subjected to another or an equal medical professional who, by virtue of being a medical doctor, should superintend over them, and that they have knowledge for this specific skill they give as a service to the value chain of health professionals. What do you make of the current situation, and how can we resolve it?
Well, let me be very candid with you that the lab scientists are my very good friends, and I work with them closely. Indeed, I was at this didn't start yesterday. It started way back in the previous regime. It became very turbulent. It could have led to a more horrendous situation than the way it happened these few days. We stepped in. I was present at some of the meetings. And the last time when this government came into office, it brought about another confusion. And we stepped in. I was present at the meeting, and because of our presence, we managed to quieten the situation. And the chief director and his team set up a small committee to work out a few things. I have been traveling as a guest speaker all over the place, and so I was not present to follow it up. Fortunately, the medical lab people have a very knowledgeable general secretary in the person of Cephas, Dr. Cephas. I caught her also, who stepped in to help them quieting the situation a little bit. Unfortunately, it appears that normally there appears to be some kind of apprehension on the part of both the medical people, the physicians, and that of the lab scientists. And therefore, this has come to a stage where they have to physically have a showdown. And we somehow, some of us work behind the scene to prevent the thing from getting to, bad states in the interest of their customers, those who get sick and needing their support. And so a meeting was held, I think, 2 days ago or so, to try and put it to where it belongs. I was busy teaching somewhere, so I couldn't attend, but my representative was there. We tried to reduce the matter to the level where it is now. I think the ministry is working out feverishly to get them together for another round of meeting. Somebody was appointed temporarily to handle the schedule that is in controversy. Hopefully, they should be able to. There'll be a meeting on the 12th of May, next week Tuesday or so, to enable us find a more lasting solution. I think we'll endeavor to be present to try and help them. We do not do, even though we work closely with the lab scientists, because of our role as impartial people, we do not want to support one side per se. We want to make sure we provide knowledge and understanding to help them resolve the matter in the best interest of their customers and their state.
Right, but Mr. Game, how difficult should this matter be that these two separate individual groups have had enough knowledge or have all gained knowledge in their chosen fields of interest, and the bone of contention is that one side wants to lead the other side even within the medical science space, and they say that no, we have enough competence to manage our affairs. Stay in your offices. We can collaborate and work together. If you have any need, we can work on that. But you cannot superintend and more or less be managing us. That is all that they are saying. How difficult should this matter be in resolving it?
You see, it's like other professions. It's like you are a journalist and you have all branched into, even though you are all general journalists, you are branched into some specialities. And so that must be considered. And the employer has a major role to play. I'm talking about the state as employer who engage the services of people to be in charge of various departments and also as CEOs and chairmen of board and so forth and so on. You have to understand that all professions have some kind of professional ethics that must be abided by. And if you have your job descriptions and relationship, the organogram of the company showing who and who can be there, working in collaboration with Public Services Commission, they should be able to determine specifications that qualify people to head particular, and everybody has to progress. Doctors have their space. Doctors are not necessarily lab scientists,
right,
unless you train in some specific aspect and you are capable and everybody can attest to it. A doctor is not necessarily a nurse. A nurse have a role they play, and they play it, to the best of their ability. And so everybody must acknowledge and know his space in the profession. Unfortunately, maybe the employers' direct representatives went and slept a little bit all these years past. It's now that this thing has, come up to the head and some effort, and they must do it well. That's why I'm speaking the way I'm speaking. I could have spoken in a more authoritative manner by way of saying it should be this and that, but that will be positional. And once I do that, it means I cannot sit between them and support them to bring about understanding. As mediators, we don't behave that way. So we would prefer not to be authoritative and taking position on this issue until we get to the meeting on the 12th, and we'll bring about our professional influence to try and guide both parties to resolve the matter amicably than trying to support one side against the other.
Okay. And finally, clearly you are confident that this is resolvable, and it shouldn't take too long. If you have cool heads and you meet, there should be a solution at the end of that meeting. Sure.
Even America and Iran matter can be resolved. How much more this one? Right. It's not a major issue. Okay. It can be resolved, except that everybody must bury his pride and self and let us bring about a skillful application of how best these matters can be resolved. It's not a major issue. They have made it look as if it is something that is for do or die affair. I think that it is resolvable. It can be resolved.
Mr. Game, thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're most welcome.
And he is a labor consultant and giving us clear indications that it is a resolvable issue, so there shouldn't be any qualms about that going forward. Dr. Franklin Amartey Amarh is with us. Your final words. Clearly, you know about the meeting on the 12th. You're also confident that it is a resolvable issue, so you go in with cool heads. And hopefully at the end, your concerns and the issues raised by the doctors will find some common ground, right?
Very well.
Okay.
This is my final words to those in management who claim that the leadership and the management of the laboratory is an administrative position. That is not factual. Because if it is just administrative position, then you wouldn't need technical competencies to head. You need 3 sets of skills: technical competencies, conceptual competency, and then human skills to lead in the laboratory space. What is the technical competencies? Defined by law, medical laboratory science. What the medical officers went to school to do is medicine, not medical laboratory science.
So there's a clear distinction.
And clearly, if it is an administrative position, and we can agree, it means that the nurse manager position is also administrative. The pharmacy manager position is also administrative. And similarly, the facility head position, which has been the sole preserve. You see, we have been charitable to medical officers. They are minority in our space, but we have submitted to them even leading of the whole facilities. Let me submit to them that milk is not their sole preserve. All other professionals, can also digest milk appropriately.
Okay.
And so we at least deserve to lead and manage in the laboratories. Okay. If they insist that we have to open up all the spaces, let us as a country have conversation, open up all the spaces, and let core administrators lead and manage all of us. But if we identify that it's a prerequisite to have a technical skills, then let the principles apply.
Okay. And let the law work.
It is a very simple matter.
All right. Doc, thank you so much for joining us in studio for this conversation. Dr. Franklin Ni Amartey Amarh is Vice President of the Medical Laboratory.
First Vice Chairman.
You're the
First Vice Chairman.
First Vice Chairman of the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union. Thank you for your time this evening. This is still 3FM 92.7.